Good evening, everyone. So this session is about you if you've started cycling recently and you want to keep on experiencing the joy of cycling after the pandemic. We've got some local cycling clubs here who will be talking about what is available for children, families and adults following the easing of lockdown. All the clubs are going to introduce themselves first, and then we'll take your questions as you go along, but we're also going to talk about what they've got on offer for the different groups of people that are in our society. So if we're going to go by alphabetical order, so if I ask Avanti Cycling, isn't it? If I ask Stuart to just tell us a little bit about what you're offering people after the pandemic is over.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Stuart Williams and I work for Avanti Cycling. We are one of the UK's leading training providers, cycling training providers. So before the pandemic, we set up the Avanti Cycling Bike Club, which was formed after we had a number of discussions with parents over many years about, and children as well, about why children weren't cycling in between the bikeability training that we did for them. So between the ages of 10 and 11, there were a number of reasons, which I won't go into right now. So in order to enable as many children to cycle as possible and show them how enjoyable it is and increase the enjoyment in cycling, we set up this club this year. So we received funding from Get Archer Active to initially set up 2 cycling clubs within Reading, or 2 bike clubs within Reading. Unfortunately, the coronavirus has delayed the first few sessions of those, but we hope to be up and running in the next couple of months. These clubs will be community-led, so the participants will be deciding what activities they would like to, what cycling activities they'd like to do, and our target age group is around from the 10 to 16 range. We'll meet weekly for 1.5 to 2 hours, and within these sessions there'll be a number of activities on offer. So for example, led rides to show children new routes around the area, taking them to cycling facilities such as BMX tracks. We've got the velodrome down at Palmer Park, so areas there to teach them a little bit, maybe if they want to learn about race cycling. We're not a race club in any way, shape or form, but it's fun to go around the velodrome now and again. We've got things like bike polo, bike football, visits to cycle shops to see how the cycling business works. We want to teach them new skills, life skills as well, and we'll hopefully through that engage the parents as well, so bringing them on led rides. And with engaged parents, we then would like to train them up to become cycle coaches, so that this club becomes self-sufficient. Avanti Cycling will initially support it with instructors, but once those parents and local community leaders and volunteers are trained up to deliver cycling sessions, we want to try and make the club as self-sufficient as possible, obviously with support from Avanti Cycling, and to enable as many children and parents as possible to enjoy cycling within Reading.
And if you would like to come to this club, do you need to have your own cycle?
Absolutely not. So Avanti Cycling, we've got a number of bikes that we can loan out to children and adults to help try and break down the barrier. So the way that we've set it up is that we're going to be targeting deprived areas, because it's shown that the levels of physical activity in these areas aren't as high as they are in less deprived areas. So we want to make the club as inclusive as possible. So the use of bikes, equipment, and any support that the participants need, we will provide that for them to break down those barriers.
And have you chosen your areas yet?
At the moment, that's still under discussion, but we'd be looking at maybe a few places on the east side of Reading, maybe towards Caversham or the Amersham Road area. But that's currently undecided. We've just got to have a few more discussions about that, but we'd want to have a wide audience, so central locations like Putnam Park or Prospect Park or Amersham Road.
Yeah, oh great. Okay, I think you've covered everything for now. And who's next then? Have we lost Adrian?
I'm still here.
Oh, you're up there, you've moved, sorry. So who's next? Greg, I think you're next actually, aren't you? Reading Cycling Club.
Yeah, it's quite funny that Reading, beginning with an R, is back. It's towards the end of the it's second on the list. All the names begin with the last numbers in the in the alphabet. Okay, so Reading Cycling Club. We are the oldest and largest sporting club in the area. The actual Reading Cycling Club has been around since 1975, but there have been cycling clubs in Reading since the early 1900s. Our main aim is supporting or racing cyclists, but we have a variety of activities that we aim at everybody. We run regular rides, well, pandemic allowing, we run regular rides both on Sundays and during the week, mainly at the start from town centre, but not all of them. The rides at the moment average about 50 miles, though there are longer and shorter rides. We do have quite a few, we do have entry rides or beginner rides to start off at 25, 30 miles, to introduce people into the rigors of a slightly longer ride. 50 miles, we understand, is quite demanding. We're certainly not a beginner cycling club. So the introduction rides, we will ride at the pace of slowest, so we don't drop anybody. We don't drop anybody any ride, but certainly the introduction rides, so nobody will be left behind. And they're great intros to how the club operates. The ride leader will be able to explain how, where to go, where to ride, how to go, what sort of equipment to buy if you wanted to move on further with this process. We also run a variety of cycling events every year, and get involved in a number of initiatives in the area. Our headline event, hoping it's going to run this year, is the Bill Higson Cyclocross event. 500 to 600 people participate in that event. It's run in Prospect Park towards the end of September, early October. We've sort of brought it forward to the last weekend of September where possible, because it enables us to have parking in the park. It's an incredible event to watch. Get to see lots of cyclists going round and round in circles in Prospect Park, and a lot of young people. We have about 100 people under the age of 16, children under the age of 16, participating in the variety of events. It's an amazing spectacle, and it's great to see 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds riding around their circuit and enjoying it. We also planning to run the National Hill Climb this year, which is a national level event, obviously pandemic permitting. As all cycling clubs do, we adhere to national guidance as far as the pandemic is concerned. Our governing body is British Cycling. They are very strict on how we behave at the moment. We are, although we're a sporting club, we do welcome everybody. And we encourage everybody to participate where possible. We have quite a high female membership. Out of 193 members, 36 are female. Ethnicity is not recorded in our membership data, but certainly gender is. But the key is we are a club, like all clubs, but we are run by its members, for its members. The club is about a group of members getting together and doing stuff they want to do. So it's a massive community in that sense. Okay, thank you.
Right, and do your clubs work in that you pay? It's a paid membership.
Yes, it's an annual membership fee. It's an annual membership fee, which isn't very much. At the moment, it's £15 for the year.
Oh, brilliant! What a bargain. All right, we'll ask a little bit more about that in a bit. And so next we have the Sprockets, and that's Lloyd's going to tell us.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to share the screen I've got. Hopefully this will work. Sprockets is a youth-only cycle club. We were founded about 4 years ago, and our aim was to get more kids on bikes and more kids smiling on bikes. The idea being there was a shortage of places where the children could ride their bikes safely, where their parents were happy for them to ride their bikes, and where they could improve. And so we wanted to separate the children from vehicles, and we do all our training in Arborfield on the staff car park of Bowhunt School. On occasion, we move out of the back of the school into Hazebrook Meadows, which is a sort of country park, which has got a number of hills and bumps and a bit of mud, which the kids really enjoy in the winter. I'm not sure the parents enjoy it quite so much, cleaning the kit up and the kit and the bikes afterwards. We, as I said, we youth only, age 6 to 16. Although if there's a 17-year-old to stay with us, we would very much welcome them. As we started only 4 years ago, we haven't got any 16-year-olds yet. We have a number of 14-year-olds who joined the club as 10-year-olds all those years ago. The ethos of the club is effectively said at the bottom of our slide on the banner behind me. Success is measured in smiles. We're all about increasing confidence by coaching. We're a British Cycling Go Ride Club, Club Mark branded, which means that we've gone through an extra level of approval about safeguarding and assurance and management. All our coaches are British Cycling qualified coaches, and we have coaches who are qualified in cyclocross, mountain bike and track, but we're not really a performance club. Our idea is that we want our youngsters to have fun. If some of them want to race, we support that, and several of them will be part of those children at the Bill Higson Cyclocross this year and have been for the past few years. But that's not really what we're about. To join the club, you require a bike and a helmet, and you're required to be able to pedal on your own, and that's basically it. And we set the bar fairly low on that. Realistically, it means 5 or 6 years old, someone can come along and start with us. It is 5 or 6 because all the coaching's done in groups, and so they need to be able to comply with instructions. So 15 riders ride around together are not a danger to each other. 50% of the club, just about 45 to 50% of the club are young ladies, which we're really proud of. 1/3 of our coaches are female. This is Claire on the slide, one of our coaches. She brought her children along to the club. They liked it. After sneaking up on her and putting an arm lock on her, she's now a level 2 cyclocross coach, coaching with the club and riding locally in the Cyclocross League, having never been a cyclist before. So we believe in promoting ourselves through our activities, which is having fun. And that's really all I've got to say about that. I'll stop sharing the screen and come back up, and there we are.
Just one quick question, Lloyd, before I forget. If a 17-year-old wants to become a coach, is that an option for them?
Yes,
or are they
it is an option.
Yep.
From age 16, a level 1 coach can be trained, British Cycling level 1 coach. If they are part of the club and have joined a youth scheme, from age 14, we can start training to level 1 coach.
Okay.
To be a level 2 coach is 18. We thoroughly recommend, we really want to grow our own coaches through the youth. We think it adds something to the young person's development and understanding. And we encourage all of our older riders, so the 14 to 15-year-olds, to start helping out at the club. And we are encouraging them to become coaches. Looks really good on their personal statements when they leave school, but more importantly, they learn something about leading other people. And that's really, really important to them. And we're very supportive of them in doing that.
Right. And if I just pop back to Greg, I forgot to ask your age range of your membership.
Unmute myself. Age range from old to older, and the median age is 48. I know it's quite old, but we do have people in their 20s and people in their 80s riding.
So can a 16-year-old join, or do they need a guardian?
Yeah, a 16-year-old can join. We adhere to Cycling UK young people's guidelines. They need a consent form from their parents or guardian, right. But that is it. Over 14, they can come out unaccompanied as long as we have the consent forms.
Right. Okay, so next is Swallowfield, and that's Adrian. Take it away, Adrian.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. You're going to hear similar sorts of things from me, from what you've heard from others and what you might hear from Natalie in a moment. Swallowfield is a community club. I've been going just over 10 years now. It was formed by a bunch of mates who wanted to go ride a lot together, and then decided they were enjoying it so much they'd form a club. And it's grown over that time to be quite a big part of the local community. Originally in Swallowfield, but we tend to meet and do most of our activity in the Shinfield, Spencer's Wood area these days. And there are three main things that we do. We have the adult club. There's a few of us assembled in the picture, top left there, before we went and did a 150-mile charity ride a couple of years ago. We have Junior Club, SVC Juniors, which meets every Saturday morning at Shinfield St Mary's School. And we run regular newcomer rides, partly as a community event for people who just fancy a bike ride, but also as a way for people to experience what being part of a cycling club is about. And that picture in the middle is one of our newcomer rides from last year. As you can see, they get very well supported. So I'll talk very briefly, and I'll just put some pictures up as we go through, if I can make this work. So the juniors, very similar to what Lloyd talked about. We're a few miles apart from each other. We typically have 10 to 20 children every Saturday morning, and we take them through a similar British cycling skills course. The aim being to make them confident and happy cyclists. See the sorts of things they do there, and we have a range of obstacles and other things that we can use to help enhance their skills. Some of our children do go on to race. A few pictures here of some of this going on, and a couple of people have talked about the Bill Higson Memorial Cyclocross event. Picture in the bottom right there of one of our riders who raced and won an event there last year. And we've got a few riders in the club who do regularly ride cyclocross races through the winter now. It's not a requirement of what we do at all. The kids that want to do it, go and do it. And the rest just enjoy our Saturday morning sessions. Age range for the children is from 4 upwards. They tend to move on around about sort of 12, 13, we find, from our club. We've got a couple of young lads who've graduated from the junior club and now ride with the adult club. But we tend to focus on being an inclusive club for everybody from the age of around 4 upwards, similar to what Lloyd was saying. As long as they can pedal and they can follow basic instructions, they're very welcome. The adult club, we've got around about 50 members at the moment, and we're a road riding club, so we focus on riding around the roads. And typical cycling club activity is a Sunday morning meet up at 8 o'clock. Again, a ride of around 50 miles, sometimes a bit longer, sometimes a bit shorter for the main club. And we have the newcomer activities on top of that. We have quite a lively social life as well. It tends to revolve around coffee, cake and beer. We get the children and the adult club together as much as we can. There's a fair bit of crossover between parents and children, but not in all cases. And once a fortnight through the summer, we'll run a 20-mile ride to welcome new people into the experience of riding with the club, and a 40-mile development ride at the pace at which people are comfortable with. I'd say either for them just to come out and enjoy a bike ride on a nice day, or for those who think they might want to do a bit more, it's a nice, easy way to get familiar with riding with the club. The adult club, it's got a fairly active program based around Sunday morning sessions. We try and do 1 or 2 overseas trips every year. You'll see a few photographs of other people cropping up in here. We've seen the Reading Cycling Club event. There's a couple of people from Wokingham Cycling Club on the left there who came on our ride to the Isle of Wight last year. A couple of other overseas trips there. We do collaborate a lot, as I say, with Wokingham Cycling Club and with Thames Valley Triathlon in particular. We share events throughout the summer. And that's probably all I was going to cover, but Samarine, ask away with questions and hopefully get some more questions later on.
A burning question is, how do you get one of those blue t-shirts?
One of the Swallowfield t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we get. I mean, like all clubs, we get them printed and supplied, and they're not mandatory. There's virtually nothing in the club that's mandatory, but people like to buy the club jersey. The children buy them as well. We've got a mix of red and blue ones for the children for reasons I won't go into. And yeah, it's part of the nice thing. I'm sure everyone will agree about belonging to a club is it lets you wear the club kit and show you're proud of your club and what you do.
And do you operate similarly to Reading Cycling Club? Do you have a paid membership annual paid membership?
We do, yeah. £20 in our case for the year, but that's the only contribution you need to make. You obviously need to turn up with your bicycle and helmet and that sort of thing. And the overseas trips, people cover their own costs if they want to come on those. The children is pay as you go, so we just ask £5 per child per week on a pay as you go basis, and that just covers our costs in terms of training the coaches and hiring the facilities we use.
Right. Sounds good. And did I understand correctly? Do your children go to Reading Cycling Club's Prospect Park events?
Yeah, they do. And last year actually was the first time we had a few children. I do cyclocross myself, and so I was keen to give kids a taste of it. And I think we had 4 come along to the Reading event at the start of the season. 3 of those then carried on and raced through the whole winter. And I think we'll have a few more doing it this year. It's a great fun way for kids to get a bit of competitive cycling in, as well as just learning the skills, and lets them race around and really sort of give their all without having to worry about trucks and cars and pedestrians. So they're great fun events.
Yeah. Great. Okay. I will just go back to Greg and ask, where do you get most of your children from for that cyclocross event?
They come from all over, to be honest. I mean, cyclocross event is, as Adrian alluded to, is now, it's a growing program. I used to organise it sort of 15 years ago. We only had about 200 odd riders. We got well over 500 riders attending now. But yeah, they come from clubs all over the country, really, all over the south of England. There are a number of local people, obviously some sort of Velo riders as well, but they're from all over.
Great. What a great reach. Okay. So last but not least, it's Wokingham Cycling Club, and that's Natalie. So take it away, Natalie.
Hi everyone. Andy, if you could just share my presentation, that'd be fantastic. While I'm waiting for that. So my name's Natalie.
Okay, I'll do that.
Perfect, thank you. I'm from Wokingham Cycling Club, and we should hopefully have some photos coming up. So we're a social club. We're quite a new club. We've actually only been official for a few years. It was started by a group of friends. Sounds in quite a similar way to Swallowfield, really. We're mainly a road riding club, but we also have mountain bike and gravel rides as well, which is something we've started up in the last couple of years. We mainly meet in the centre of Wokingham, and our 220 members are from all abilities and ages, kind of come from our surrounding areas. Andy, I can share.
I see if you have it there. Sorry, I'm just yeah, you go ahead.
Okay. Not a problem. Sorry everyone, just give me a second. Andy, I'm unable to read my notes and share my screen at the same time.
I see. Okay. Sorry, I will find yours again in a tick. So okay. Just go again.
I can just give a bit of info about cycling during the pandemic while you're doing that. So I have some statistics from the Department of Transport, and they said that it has increased by 300%, which I wasn't expecting at all. And that's 100% in a weekday, so it's doubled, and 200% at the weekend. And a couple of months ago, SHAPS offered 2 billion over 5 years. I don't know if that was already allocated to increase cycling provision, but he also wanted to include walking in that. So we'll discuss the ins and outs of that later, but I think Wokingham are ready to go now.
Perfect, fantastic. Hopefully everyone can see the presentation now. So we're very proud to have an active and ever-growing female membership in the club. At the moment, I think we have about 40 to 45 members, and in fact, our ladies group formed the focus group to help design our new club kit. which we're all eagerly awaiting to arrive. We were supposed to get it about 3 months ago, just as the lockdown happened. So we're just waiting for that. But our current kit is quite black, and the female members wanted it to be a bit brighter and more vibrant. So it's primarily yellow now. So we're quite excited for that to arrive. We also have everything in place to start accepting teenagers who are 13 plus with a guardian. It was very warmly welcomed at our AGM, but unfortunately, again, the lockdown got in the way of our plans, but hopefully in the next couple of months, we should be able to launch that properly. So last weekend, we restarted our club rides. At the moment, we're keeping our group sizes to a maximum of 4. So it's a little bit, the guidelines are 6, but we believe as a club that 4 is safe for us at the moment. And last weekend we sent out 17 rides across kind of our 6 different ride categories. This is mainly possible because our really dedicated group of about 50 ride leaders. We're really lucky this year to have a grant from Wokingham Town Council, and this is what we're using is to put in some more training for our ride leaders. So that's really helpful. Again, it's been postponed a little bit, but it should hopefully happen at the end of the year. So members can sign up to rides on our website, where they're presented with a list of rides for the coming week. All of the ride leaders have the flexibility to add their own rides to the website. So although the majority happen on Sunday morning, it means that they can list them anytime throughout the week. So, if we've got members that kind of do shift patterns or are retired, they can actually put on rides during the day, during the week as well. And all members will know kind of the distance, the speed, and most importantly, where the cafe stops are before they sign up to the rides on the website. So, Andy, we can move on to the next slide. You'll see fantastic. So at the top there, you'll see a photo from a cafe stop at the end of an introductory ride. It was quite a busy introductory ride, that one. We take a group out for about an hour and a half, and we do a local cycling route. We explain everything about the club and help you decide what group is right for you. Or sometimes we can help signpost to kind of other groups or other clubs in the area if our club's not got everything you need. If you're new to riding, this is a fantastic opportunity to experience riding in a group because it's a really supported environment. In the summer, we also run introductory rides in the evenings, along with women's only rides, which newcomers are always welcome to come along to. To be honest with you, for those rides, all you need to do is be able to ride a bike, and we kind of, help you in whatever way is needed. We also have a temporary membership. So kind of the faster riders or the people that are really confident with their ability don't have to kind of come from those intro rides. They can try out a club ride at any time. Before I joined the club, I was really nervous about being part of a cycling club. I think it took a good few months for us to kind of say, we're gonna turn up this week. I'm disabled, and at the time my husband and I rode an adaptive tandem, so this was definitely not your typical image at all of what a club cyclist is. But the members of the club were so supportive. There was a lot of questions when we turned up, but you kind of expect that, and they made us feel so incredibly welcome that those initial fears just disappeared completely. And 5 years on, I feel so passionate about the club and how it can support kind of a wide and diverse membership base that I now sit on the committee and try and increase that as much as possible. So I've experienced firsthand how being part of a club can have a really positive impact on your physical and mental well-being. And then on the next slide, you can see how at Wokingham, we use the tagline more than just the ride. So we pride ourselves, as I've said, on being a very social club, grasping every opportunity to get together. Although at the moment, this is mostly happening virtually. We've been continuing as much as possible with kind of like quizzes and meetups through Zoom throughout the lockdown. As the photos show, we do quite a few events in the community. Our summer time trial series, which is what top images from, is all about coming along and taking part regardless of ability. So the main competition is against yourself, and having a series means that you can keep coming back and improving your time every other week. So everyone can come along and take part, and the best bet is meeting kind of the other individuals, and you'll see all the other clubs in the photo here. We've definitely got, I think, Swallowfield, there's some triathlon clubs, TVT, and just some individuals that come along as well. And we'll have kind of like drinks and snacks at the end that the club provides. And then this year, our winter rides all stopped at Hare Hatch Garden Centre, which is the other photo at the top there. And we also have a pub quiz, and we make a big event out of our AGM. This year we actually maxed the capacity of the town hall, so we need to find somewhere else next year. But these all provide a great opportunity to kind of meet others and make friends. When we moved to Wokingham, we didn't know anyone in this area at all, and it was through the club that we quite quickly built like a wide and long-lasting friendship group. So myself and another club member, we sit on the committee for Wokingham Bikeathon. So we help with everything kind of from the route to the running of the day. It's targeted predominantly at families and novice riders. So it's quite for us, it seems it's quite a different environment to the club, and we love being part of that. And we have a stall there every year where we run kind of competitions, eat lots of cake, and chat to as many people as possible. So we also think it's really important to support local businesses as much as possible, especially independent businesses. So our club membership card gets discount for quite a few local traders, kind of including cafes. We support our local cycling shop. They hand out all of our local kit, our club kit, and things like that. So hopefully you have enjoyed hearing about our cycling club and seeing some photos of our wide member range. And if you are interested in joining us, please just get in touch. All the details are on our website, and I'm probably the person that you'll end up talking to at the end of those. So thank you very much.
That's great, thank you. And you all have like an area name in your title, but does it matter if someone from Reading goes to Wokingham or Swallowfield?
No, not at all. In fact, we have members. There's a few members. We've got a husband and wife member where one's the husband's in Swallowfield and the wife's in Wokingham. And we also have lots of members that come from Reading as well. I think it just depends on what's convenient for them and what day of the week they want to ride.
Okay, great. That sounds really good. And you didn't mention fees or anything like that. Is there an annual fee to join?
Yeah, so a bit like the other clubs, we've got an annual fee. It went up to £30 a year this year. But for us, that annual fee also includes all of the kind of drinks and refreshments at all of our socials and AGMs and things like that. So if you come to everything, you get an awful lot out of it.
Sounds like quite a good deal. So if we're looking now, obviously you're all trying to increase your memberships. I presume that's why we're doing this webinar. We've all talked a little bit about how you welcome your new riders, but just putting myself in the place of a new rider. Say I've been cycling with my family. We've all seen family cycling together. How could I take it to the next level with one of your clubs? Could I take my children along? Is there any family rides, or do I have to leave them at home? Does anyone want to answer that question? Adrian, did you mention that you have some family rides? Yeah,
I'm happy to. We don't. We have done the odd family ride. So Natalie mentioned the Wokingham Bikeathon. So we normally get our families together for that. And we did organise a joint family event last year, might have been the year before, but it's not part of our regular calendar. It's an interesting idea. We're very open to newcomers into juniors, always.
I suppose an advantage of cycling with the club is that you'll find new routes as a cyclist. If you don't know, if you've just been cycling around the park, you're going to be able to find a lot of new routes. Natalie, you did mention the benefits of riding in a group. Does anyone want to talk more about that, and maybe also talk about riding as an individual and the benefits of that over riding in a group? So Greg, for example, when you're training for your races, do you cycle by yourself? Can anyone keep up with you?
Unfortunately, I tend to cycle on my own. I have specific, quite strict training program and plan, so it's not fun. Just go out. I need to do set intervals or set times. Cycling with a club is a lot more fun, and I will sometimes do it over the winter because just to go out and have a bit of fun. I don't know. Benefits of riding in a group, well, as we said, it's I do a lot of this in my ride leader workshops, but it's so you come up, do a little exercise in this. And one of the benefits of riding in a group is safety in numbers. People feel safer, more secure riding as a group on the roads, learning new routes, knowing their support. I think one of them, I think Roken might have had a photograph, or Swallowfield had a photograph of somebody fixing a puncture. If you go with a group, you don't need to know how to sort your bike out. There will be somebody in the group who will be able to do that, will have the right tool to do that. Riding on new roads, different areas, roads that you wouldn't, challenging slightly. It challenges a little bit possibly, because then you get pushed a little bit more than you would do normally. Makes you go out if you have a regular appointment on a Sunday to go out with the group, and the weather's looking a bit iffy, you'll still go out. Whereas if you're sat home, and you might just turn over in bed if it's raining outside. So no, I'm not going to go out today. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits of riding in a group. Definitely a lot of benefits.
So Maureen, 4 weeks ago, we were first allowed to restart any kind of cycling after in compliance with the lockdown procedures. It is in small groups, as Natalie has mentioned, but when we opened up our club event to try out how to work together at socially safe distances and that, we ran out of space on our online bidding system in 6 hours, because what we had were a bunch of kids, some of whom had not seen anyone their age outside their family since March. So the thrill for the youngsters to get together with people they knew to do the same sort of things they liked doing was absolutely brilliant. The coaches had a wonderful time. The kids had a wonderful time. They were brilliant, and they managed to stay apart, 2 or 3 meters apart, but still enjoy themselves, shouting and cheering and having fun. And whilst it's not quite the same as a group ride on the road, getting out with a bunch of people who are voluntarily doing the same thing, are going through the same things they're learning, and are having fun together. In normal times, we split our morning up with what everyone Sprockets knows as a cake break, and taking the same sort of cafe break, coffee stop as the adults do. It's part and parcel of the ethos and the style and the approach to it. It's about fun, and getting out with your mates and doing something together is absolutely brilliant. And it was so good bringing back kids who hadn't seen anyone outside their family, most of them since March. Absolutely brilliant.
And can you tell us a bit about the other benefits children get from cycling, like independence, for example?
It's fair to say that most children are taught to ride by their parents, and quite a lot of parents are not confident in doing this. So confidence on a bike doesn't naturally occur. Confidence on a bike grows through practice, fun, falling off, call it what you will. The real benefit, when it actually comes down to it, is its balance, coordination, cooperation, observation. All these things are taught in by doing the things you do on your bike. There's a variety of wonderful games where you deliberately cross streams of riders. Sounds like absolute mayhem, but in order for them to do it, when you've got 40 riders crossing from different directions, they have to cooperate, they have to observe, and they have to communicate. Those things don't come naturally to every child. We've a number of youngsters who are at various places on the SEN register, and we've been peculiarly successful with autistic children who don't naturally fit in with team games at school, but do naturally fit in with us. And you'd think that the chaos of a bunch of kids trying to do something they've done before would be bad for them. But oddly, it's absolutely wonderful for them, because they're only really dependent on themselves. They don't feel the same discomfort of not achieving the same rate. We don't care how fast they grow. There's no set schedule of what improvements have to be met. And I know the other kids clubs are exactly the same. There isn't a rule about how fast you go to a stage. There's no tests. It's all about having fun and moving on. So confidence, coordination, fun, growth, independence. It's loads there for them.
Yeah. And when I've been at Palmer Park, I've noticed that they have adapted bikes for people of different physical abilities. Do you have anything like that available at your club?
We have a number of people with physical disabilities. Do you know what? After a little while, we don't notice, because what's happened is the minor adaptations they've had done to their bikes, putting both brakes on one side, for example, which can be done. The minor adaptations, we've got one of our young volunteers, he's 14, 15-year-old now, has not got good signaling between her brain and one of her hands. You wouldn't know it now. This is someone who went from being a very, very nervous rider to riding mountain biking. Now, she'll never be the greatest mountain biker in the world, but her commitment to it, her growth and performance to it, she thinks cycling's her sport. That's brilliant. That's what we want. So we like to get to the stage where we don't actually notice any kind of disability.
Yeah, I can just echo what Lloyd said there, actually, because it almost sounds like he's talking about me. I also have an issue with the way my brain communicates with one kind of side of my body. So like this rider, I have both my brakes and gears on one side of my bike now, but you wouldn't know to look at me. And cycling for me gave me a huge, as an adult, gave me a huge amount of independence. When I first started riding, I couldn't walk to the shops, but I could cycle to the shops. So I'm quite passionate. And there's as well as being at Palmer Park, there's also some disability bikes in Wokingham as well, some inclusive bikes. The FBC Centre in Wokingham that anyone can come along and kind of have a go at certain periods. I think there's some sessions, so that's quite nice.
Right, that's good to know that's available there. I don't know if anyone knows what is available at Palmer Park, if anyone's in the Reading area. I think the council must run some activities.
Yeah, there's a
their website.
During the summer, there's I don't know if they're weekly or bi-weekly sessions that you can just go along and ride one of the kind of inclusive disability bikes for an hour or two.
Yeah, it's twice weekly. It is booked through Reading Sport and Leisure, through Palmer Park. Unfortunately, most of the Palmer Park staff at the moment are furloughed, so the facility's not been open this summer. It might reopen soon.
I think August, the government has said leisure centres will open in August, but Reading has been quite cautious with everything so far. Before we get into more of the competitive side of cycling, I just want to go back to Stuart and just ask that you've got quite a challenge on your hands in that you want to promote cycling in an area where physical activity generally is quite low, or was recorded to be quite low. What tactics or things are you going to do to try and get people out to cycle?
So we've worked on similar projects before, whether that's run through the CTC or Reading Borough Council. We have targeted community centres before in the sort of Newtown area, and we've had great success there. So we managed to get a load of kids out who typically wouldn't be cycling. We managed to get them on bikes, go for lead rides. They had a whale of a time, taking them out into the forests, into the woods, along the Thames. So in order to promote that, we'd be intensively using community groups, be using social media, obviously, through the schools as well, and through word of mouth. That is the way that we would promote the club in this area. It's a difficult task, but we love a challenge out of anti-cycling, and we want to show as many people as possible that, especially children and their parents as well, that cycling is a great activity. It's a load of fun, and you encourage them to cycle to school because 20 minutes on a bike is a lot more fun than 10 minutes in a car. So those kind of messages we want to promote, and positive, and using positive examples of cycling, how they can use it in their daily lives to access these people who don't cycle as much as they could or as much as they want.
And it's a question every parent's probably tearing their hair out over, is how do you get them, have you got anything to get them away from the Xbox? Have you got any secrets? Or you're going to just sell the joy of cycling?
Well, I think it's obviously with the coronavirus pandemic and the massive increase in cycling, that's definitely helped. And at the moment, we've got a great opportunity to get children outside. We've seen that sort of out and about around Reading and the surrounding villages. You see groups of young children or teenagers out on their bikes, just going for either, whether that's to the woods, to hit some trails up. It's a difficult task to try and get them away from the Xboxes and stuff, but if we have the right message and the right promotion, we should be able to access these children who do maybe stay inside a bit more frequently than others. Yeah.
I'd love to say it should be in schools. Primary schools have an obligation to deliver 25 meters of swimming training. I've never met anyone who's managed to swim to work or swim to college or swim around town. I know loads and loads and loads of people who ride to work, ride at college, ride at universities. I personally would like to think that there's a place for schools doing cycling as part of their PE curriculum. It's a life skill. It does so much for physical fitness and things like that. It's not just the on-the-road stuff. It's the fun. And if I was to say what gets your kids away from the Xbox is knowing they're going out and meeting one of their mates on a bike. It's got to be about their friends.
Yeah. Because Xbox is about the social element as well, isn't it? As well as gaming, meeting your friends online. So if they can meet
why can't they ride to the park to play football? Yeah, or to the skate park, rather than in mum and dad's taxi.
Yeah, through the setting up of these clubs, we hope to promote that, to show people where to cycle, that there are other options to use in the car on a frequent basis. And the work that we do in schools with the bikeability training for children, we try and make it as fun as possible. We play as many games as possible. We enable children who wouldn't normally cycle to cycle by providing them with a bike. We take them out on local routes. And, obviously, with the bikeability training, that's there, but we also like to try and make it as fun as possible by taking them maybe down to the local river or through the local woods, and show them that, hey, it's not that far to cycle to the park, it's not that far to pedal to your friend's house, and maybe after school today you can ask your parents if you can go out with your mates on a little cycle.
So show them some back routes, etc. So Greg, have you got anything to add to this at all?
Well, yes, I think you're all saying it, but I think bikeability and cycling for children is for young people is just a fabulous way of developing their independence. And I've always said this to instructors doing bikeability and to teachers: we are the first people to actually to allow children to make their own independent decisions. Up until they get to us, everything is given to them. We allow them, we encourage them make their own decisions about where to go, what to do, how to do it. And all the instructors just stand back and say, no, I'm not making that decision, you make that decision. And I think it's incredibly empowering for children. But moving on from them back to school before you take, and then they get hit when they get back to school again. Can't do that, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that.
Yeah.
But I also like to share other clubs, really. Thoughts about other clubs in the area. It's not just us. I think there's a selection of sporting type clubs here. There's obviously Bicycling Bells, which Submarine runs or helps run. There's a fabulous club. They do 20-30 mile rides. It's for ladies only, women only, but it's a fabulous initiative. Cycling UK clubs, they run a variety of rides from 20 miles upwards. Again, probably aim more at the leisure rider than the sports rider. And again, they run family rides, they run mountain bike rides, they run a selection go onto the Cycling Reading CTC website and you can see all that. We have 2 triathlon clubs in the area, TBT, who we were trying to come on board with us because they have quite a big youth section as well, but can't see them here. And Tri to Row, both very keen, very good triathlon clubs. TBT has been around for decades, I think. Can't remember how long, but I remember it back in the 90s. And also there are other neighbouring clubs to us. There's Didcot Phoenix, there's Newbury Road Club, Northants Road Club, a variety of different cycling clubs in the area. GS Henley is our local one as well.
Greg, is there one place where you can, say clubs in Reading or Berkshire, or is there one place where all these clubs are listed?
Actually not. It's something we at Anti-Cycling tried to set up a few years ago, sort of main principal hub website, but we need support from all the other organisations, and Andy's done a great job in getting Swallowfield and Newbury and Sprockets on board here. But as you notice, there is no representation from GS Henley, there is no representation from Didcot Phoenix. It's quite difficult to organise this thing because everybody thinks you've got an agenda. In fact, the only agenda, I think, is just trying to have a central hub. I'll have another go at it. Trying to bring things together. I tried to bring Reading Cycling Club, Reading Cycling Campaign and Cycling UK together a few months ago, and that didn't work either. But yeah, it just needs. I think you're right, Samin. There does need to be a central website.
Yeah. If someone's coming in from outside, it would be good for a one-stop shop. And talking about that, we've only got about 7-8 minutes left, and I've got one question to ask you. But before that, can I ask, what's the kind of equipment you need to do sporting level racing? Say you're 50 miles an hour. I don't think I could do that. It's not 50 miles an hour. 50-mile rides. I don't think I could do that on I don't know how long you take to do your 50-mile rides. I probably don't want to do that on my hybrid. What do you need? I don't know. Adrian, do you want to answer?
Yeah, so on our newcomer rides, people turn up on all sorts of bikes, and we're very happy with that. Most people that ride with the club will ride what's termed a road bicycle, so typically drop handlebars. It's not essential. We don't. It's not a rule of any sort. The reality is those bikes tend to be a bit quicker on the long run. The main club rides normally are at a level where you would really struggle to keep up on a mountain bike unless you were very, very fit. So a bike with narrowish tyres, drop handlebars, makes you a little bit quicker, but not essential. For the children, all sorts. Some of the older children who like to race have got proper cyclocross race bikes, but most of the kids will turn up on whatever suits them, whatever their parents have bought them for Christmas, and that works perfectly well.
Yeah, I agree. For kids, it's mostly hybrid bikes, and the ones who end up wanting to race more. The best recommendation from them is probably a cyclocross bike, which fits nicely into the gravel and on the road and things like that. And they tend to start getting a little bit more expensive. But we certainly run a second-hand site for all our club members. So most of the bikes that our riders are on have been through several hands by the time they come down to them. And the better quality bikes keep their value very well. They look expensive, but by and large, most of our riders are on bikes that they can see which older rider used to ride it. So they cascade through the club, and that's another advantage. The club system, there's a very ready market for second-hand kit, everything from the shirts onwards. It keeps circulating around the club.
Yeah, and don't forget, when we joined our cycling club, we were on a semi-recumbent tandem, keeping up with 40-50 mile rides, and I rode for 3 or 4 years on my recumbent trike, keeping up with club rides. So it's not, there's many non-standard bikes as well that are perfectly capable of sporting kind of riding.
Right, okay, well, I will ask this question now that's coming from Adrian. He is asking, what are the common fears new people have coming to a club? I don't know if any of your members have spoken about. So Natalie, you've touched on a little bit how you were really scared to join. Does anyone else know of any new members' fears at all? Adrian or Greg?
Well, I can talk about experience, I guess, of talking because I go into a variety of different clubs around the country. I think it's there is a barrier. I think Natalie the barrier that Natalie presented earlier on, just the fact that she was worried about it, just didn't have the confidence to do it. I think that's just very common. It's a very, very common barrier. And my wife, she wouldn't have the confidence to go out with a cycling club because I think you worry about not being able to keep up, don't you? And the key things there is that people who struggle to keep up, they have two real fears. One is they're getting in the way of the club or the ride, and two is getting lost. But it's a big thing. I'm getting in the way. I'm slowing you down. I'm not good enough. That's the huge barrier. And it's as a ride leader, we should be really working hard to try and reduce those barriers, reduce those problems, confidence issues with new riders.
Do you have anything on your website then that says anything like, I don't know what drop is. People have said it quite a lot. Is that when you just abandon someone? Hopefully not, because they're not good enough. What is dropping?
When you abandon somebody, just line off and leave them. It's a classic cycling term, like bonk and things like that. And dropping, well, it starts off being when you hold off somebody's wheel, you can cycle with 20%, 15 to 20% less energy if you're the closer you are to the wheel in front. But you need a lot of confidence to be able to do that. I need a bit of confidence in the rider in front to be able to do that. A lot of leisure riders don't have that skill, in inverted commas, or confidence to do so. But if you look at a sports club, when they're going out for a ride, they'll all be banged up behind each other. The closer, the better. And the closer you are, the less energy you're producing. So if you can't hold that wheel initially and you drop back a meter, 2 meters, 3 meters, that is called being dropped. And then the more advanced version of that is that if you just disappear off the back and nobody's noticed, and the ride club carries on at 20 miles an hour and you're doing 15, you'll never catch them up again. And that is being properly dropped. So ride leaders should not drop their riders. In theory.
Well, I think the important thing to remember for anyone thinking of joining a club, is that everybody joined the club for the first time at some stage, and everyone had that same fear. And everyone leading a club ride knows that new riders think that way, and don't want to feel they're dragging people back or anything. Which is why I think a number of people have said all newcomer rides and almost all club rides would have what they call a no drop policy. So you ride at the pace of the slowest rider, and the bigger clubs have multiple groups to allow everyone to find a group that they fit into comfortably.
And in the kids world, unless you're actually racing, you never drop. You're always there to get them better. And so at kids clubs, the kids will never be dropped on any kind of event. The whole point of it is to ensure they have fun. The only time you'll ever see a kid getting dropped is when they're actually in a race and they're competing against other people their size. None of our riders will ever go to a race without being very, very carefully, being very carefully explained to them what it will be like, and familiarized it. So they're not going to, on their first race, their only aim is just have fun. We don't encourage people to start racing thinking they're going to win. They're going there to learn and improve and have fun. So in the kids world, they never need to worry about being dropped or left behind, because that's not how kids clubs work. None of them.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, we need to look after our young. Natalie, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I think it's really important for new riders to know that, the people I take out a lot of the kind of intro rides and things like that. And I am there to help them and to enjoy riding in the countryside. And I don't care what speed that is, and that's the same with most of our ride leaders, especially kind of lower down the club. My husband rides with me, and especially during lockdown, he's been riding with me a lot, and he's an awful lot faster than me. But he just enjoys being out on his bike. And I think that's how a lot of us feel, no one's holding us back at all.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds really good. So I might try and get my bells into a formation where I can draft off them, so I don't need to do so much effort. So I think it's about 40%, isn't it? I won't tell them that, of course. Okay, so our hour is up. That went really quickly, and I don't think we have any more questions. So hopefully we've covered everything that a new person would want to know to join one of your clubs. I don't know if it's worth you know, given Adrian's question, worth maybe putting something on your website for newbies to, you know, to say, oh, Natalie could have a quote saying, oh, I was really scared, but I've loved it now, something like that. I don't know if that would help get people along to your sessions. Is there anything anyone wants to say? I presume we have a contact sheet or a web page that we can send people to if they want to see all the club's contact details. Andy, I don't know if you're the one to ask for that. We've asked a lot of you in this festival.
To interrupt here, it'd be quite a good idea if you want to start this sort of contact hub. It might be a good idea to start creating a page on Reading Cycle Festival. The website is there. You can add an extra page on, and people can invite people to put their contact details or their membership details on. And I think that's a good starting point.
Sounds very good.
Brilliant. Natalie loves that idea. Okay, so I'll just finish up quickly. More work for you, Andy, sorry, unless Greg's got someone else who can do it. I'll just finish up quickly by telling you about the next talk, which is only on in half an hour. And it is about bikepacking and touring, which sounds really, really nice. We all need to get away. And I presume they're going to give us some tips and hints on what we can join probably, and maybe do a bit of our own as well. Yep, Greg's nothing, excellent. Well, thank you very much to all the panelists. They're all lovely, friendly people, so please join their clubs. And Avanti Cycling Club, Stuart, how will we find out about that? Will that be on Avanti's website?
It'll be on Avanti Cycling's website, yeah. So Avanti Cycling Bike Club, and we'll have that up there soon enough.
That's great. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, guys. Have a lovely evening, and thanks for taking part in the festival. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.